really good buffer for our kids. Seeing that I'm old and crotchety, he has a way of really communicating so well with these kids. And without Jeff and Keith, and Jim and John, I'm sure it makes my job that much easier. I always try to empower our assistants and give them a lot of teaching responsibility. I think that gives them ownership, and they do a fantastic job. My basic job many nights is just to walk around the gym and let them teach, and really marvel at the amount of basketball knowledge that they all have and are able to share with the kids. It's a big thing. To our wives, my wife has put up with this for 33 years, and the other coaches' wives, we really appreciate. My wife was able to come scouting with me 3 or 4 times this year, and she's really getting into knowing like 2-3 zones. And it's been a way for us since we moved to Fergus Falls and our kids are all gone. It's been a tremendous opportunity to share, and we really have appreciated those times. So big thank you to the wives. It really is a heck of a sacrifice for them, especially with we've tried to let our young assistants stay home with their families and not have to go scouting and do all of those things. And I think that's really important. And we really do appreciate Keith. I've always felt Keith bringing his boys on the bus. What a wholesome atmosphere for those young men to come up in and be around the gym where you have such quality people all the time. It's really great. For our players, I'll say a little bit more. Again, for 117 days, starting in November, running through March, these guys have had to sacrifice and put up with things that the general student population doesn't have to put up with. But in the same token, the 2 for 3, they also get some great things from being a part of that, and a big thank you to them. Of course, statisticians, Heather is not here tonight. Heather Berry, she's at the girls' basketball banquet. Jessica Lusby and Kelly Moon did a great job of seeing our stats. And we're really missing Nelson. Andy Nelson has filled the water bottles and done all the little things, and we found out how much we really missed him when we went to Little Falls, and Andy was sick that night, and the boys had to fill up their own water bottles, and we were sort of lost. Nelson, we're really going to miss you. It's really difficult to find student managers in this day and age. Nobody wants to forget. And Andy has done that so well for us over the last 2 years. To Dave Erickson, who videotaped all of our games basically, and Timmy would bring we had a Tuesday night or a Thursday night game. Tim would bring the tape the next day. He'd already taped it and got it ready for us. And then it was like clockwork, about 12:45 to 1 o'clock on Sundays when we play Saturday night games. David would be at the door with the tape, the Saturday night game, and it's really appreciative from all of us to have that. And I know the kids appreciate it having it in the locker room as well. To Craig, for all of the things that you do for Otter, not just Otter basketball, but for Otter athletics and Otter activities, we should say. Just a tremendous thank you to him for helping us out. Now you take a look at what's happened here, except for Titus blowing up these balloons. I think Charlie helping out by telling Titus how much air to put in them. I think the senior parents have done just a fantastic job and a classy job. There's a reason why our kids act the way that they do. We have high expectations both on and off the floor for our people. But that all starts at home, and we're so appreciative. It makes our job that much easier. As you senior parents, I know this is sort of a melancholy time for you. It's going to be basically the last time together that you'll have this group of parents. You'll have some things possibly later on, graduations and that, but to have you all together here, I can't remember a group of parents in my 27 years as a head coach where you people truly enjoyed one another. And I think probably the best thing about you was you really didn't care which person was on the floor. You cheered the same for your own son, you cheered the same for someone else's son. And what a tribute it is to you to not show some of the petty jealousy that goes on many times when our own son is playing. And you guys are to be commended for that. And I think you're a great benchmark for parents of groups that come. To the Otter fans, we put on 2,600 miles this winter scouting. And I'll tell you, we never went anywhere. We went to the night we went to Little Falls to scout. Matter of fact, we went there twice this year. They had a great team. It was boring. I mean, there was no atmosphere, no life at all. Our kids are so fortunate, and I know they feel fortunate to have the type of fans that we do. It's amazing. You tell people all around the state that that's probably the best part of the program is the way that people support our young people and truly love the game that they play. And I know Leroy Cornwell, when he got back from Florida, the first stop he made was come up to the gym and see how the Otters are doing. And fans down in Florida that were listening to the game on the couple of tournament games on the internet and that type of thing. So, and our pep band, that goes without saying, they're just the best around. I still get goosebumps when they play the national anthem. I just love the way they intro into it. I just think it's fantastic. And Mr. Iverson, we really appreciate what they do. Julie and Mr. Costellecki in the athletic office bring a lot of stuff to them to take care of it so that we don't have to. It's always done very professionally. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Doug and John, who Doug really has a close relationship with our players. And anything we needed done, Doug would take care of, and John was always there. And one of the things we sort of thought, again, was a two-way street, is when we get done to practice on a girls' game night, that was one of our responsibilities for our players, is to help them get the chairs out, try to pull the bleachers out. You don't just give your ball and take off and run. Anytime that you can help out, and they always did that with no grumbling, and I know that Doug and John appreciated that, and it's a big family unit that we have together there that makes all the difference. It isn't just showing up on Tuesday and Friday nights and playing. There's lots of grunt hours that go into maybe any type of organization or team, and there's so many people behind the scenes that never get credit except we look at the box scores in the paper. 2000 season. Our 9 seniors. Now we'll talk about the stuff that goes in the newspapers and the media. The 17-8 record that they had and the 55-20 record that they had in the 3 years that they were participating in varsity basketball, some of them. And I thought long and hard about this. A lot of thoughts were going through my mind at the state tournament. I jotted down things. These guys know I'm always constantly looking for a little bit of an edge. Things that we like to do with our kids. And here's the team that I thought that we had developed, that they had such a great part to do it. They had a unique chemistry. You've heard that, it's an often used cliche in line of sports. Their chemistry, I felt, was based on the following: honesty, hard work, self-sacrifice, their faith, their loyalty, and their trust in one another. Now, because of these attributes, these 6 attributes that I felt that this team had, you'll see in the future, the most important part of their lives are coming up. This is just this tiny little speck. I've always tried to tell our teams that basketball at the time is a really important thing, or any sport is a really important thing. It's just a tiny little part of what your life is going to be about. If you take those attributes, gentlemen, we talked about, you'll outperform everybody around you. And when you do that, you're going to have more success than the people that you're next to. And I think that is so important. Coached 27 teams. I saw 6 of the alumni at the school that I used to be from, Warren. They were in the state tournament. They looked pretty much the same, except they put on about 35 pounds apiece. Timmy Erickson, the other Timmy Erickson, I saw him at the state tournament, and he can't hold a hand with you. You're tough, much tougher than that Tim Erickson. I thought I got a chance to work with that Tim Erickson. So they asked me, what's it like working with this group of kids in the big city? And I always put things sort of in perspective size-wise. And these guys were all real small-town Hicks. And I'm going to talk about small-town Hicks here a little bit, because we had some. You guys rate the top, I'm not going to bully you. This group rates in the top 3. We're not talking about basketball ability. We're not talking about points on the board. We're talking about a genuine group of people who have such tremendous people skills. That's what the class of 2000 has, and that's what's going to carry them on. And you really appreciated watching them play, but unless you're their parents or been around these guys, you don't have a real good indication of what type of people they truly are, other than shooting a jump shot or rebounding or whatever. 1979, group of seniors that was very similar to you, with the same traits. The group I coached in 1989 was the second group that came to my mind. And then this group of 2000. They're all special in some way, shape, or form, but it seems like if you've been in coaching that there are groups that will stand out in your mind a little bit more. And again, it boils down to the bottom line of being raised by parents who truly care about their children. I'm sure had to say no at times, and what a great gift to give your kids is to say no to them. And this is the result of those years that they've spent. You guys really do owe your parents a tremendous debt of gratitude for the way that they helped you in your growth. What have you guys received from being an Otter? Relationships with your teammates and your opponents. The most stirring picture that I think I've ever seen as a coach was the one, and Dustin won't like me bringing this up, but it was when Mark Craigmouth from Alexander was helping him off the floor in the journal picture that they took there after that Alexandria game. And those two teams, I still can see Timmy Erickson and Scott Fergus smiling at each other as Timmy's bringing the ball down the floor. And you know Scott Fergus is going to compete very hard against him. But boy, I'll tell you, you talk about a mutual respect, and I think sort of love for one another, even though they're opponents. And I think that's something you're going to carry with you forever. Some of those guys you might go to school with, and they'll become, you'll play in a row basketball with them or whatever. They'll be some of your best friends. You cry together, you laugh together. Camaraderie, in the locker room, in the team room, bus rides. God only knows what goes on in the back of that bus. Tubby would have to tell us, because he probably knows who's home. Shower. I don't know if you mothers can understand the full brunt of a shower. I really don't know. One of the parents, I was so happy. I went to Alexandria 7 times this year. I had a lifetime pass to get in there. And not being free, I scouted in so much this year. Because I had a gut feeling from the start, and we shared that all the time with our players, that this is how it's going to end up. It's going to be Fergus and Alec in the finals, and sure as heck it did. But last night I was there was their parents' night, senior night. They played Moorhead. And every one of those guys, they put down their memories, and every one of them put down, and I don't know what it was, but they talked about their shower room experience. So a little discouraging. Practices, 52 practices this year. Games, we did 25 games, and then the after game. And I leave the court pretty quickly, give my wife a kiss for supporting us, and then I take off. And then I usually come back here, try to got my breath a little bit, and then I watch you guys on the floor. And just see the fun things that you've done with people, alumni, your fellow students, your parents. What a wholesome atmosphere. And I really appreciate that. You know, the city had the state tournament over the weekend. Winnie Mac, we started losing Winnie Mac because we scrimmaged them the second week of the year. They wanted to play, a couple of notches up, so they came. And after the game on Saturday, they came back pretty well and almost had a chance there against Southwest Christian. And they brought them out of the locker room up into the hall at Williams Arena. All of them. And they were balling. Every one of them was balling. And it was, I think, too full. One, they were sad because they had lost the championship game. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But I think more than anything, they had the same number of seniors about that we had. And I think they were genuinely crying because they knew that was it. And they were done, basically, doing things together for as many nights over their careers they had. And I think that was a big part. And we had the same thing. All teams go through that. It's really, I think, a good, healthy situation. We had 3 premises in our program. One is that you work harder than the guy next to you. Now, that's not only your opponent, but it's also in the classroom. It's in the practice court. That's one of the things we go by. Be on time. Okay, it's important that you learn to be punctual. And then you're a gentleman both on and off the court. Those are the 3 things we go by. One of the themes we try to present, and this could carry you guys forever, and I'm sure it will. It's on your program there, that some of you don't know, that P. And all that means is prior preparation prevents poor performance. And that's what it's all about. No matter if you're a businessman, you're a farmer, you're a coach, you're a teacher, it doesn't matter what you're in, athlete, you've got to get yourself ready. And it's all done ahead of time. There's no way that you can just come in to jump into something and not be prepared. So we really stress that on you guys. Your priorities as you lead. We've talked about this a number of times. Your faith, your family, your friends, you surround yourself with good friends, and obviously you've done that. Your school, your occupation, and then if you are lucky enough to be involved in sports after you leave here, which some of you will, that has to be one of your top priorities. You have to have those in order. You have to have a focus. You have to have a focus. We always talk about vision. And the Apostle Paul said in Hebrews, in one of the verses in chapter 12, he stressed the importance of where we fix our eyes. Where we fix our eyes. What does that mean? Where we fix our eyes. Okay, I'm sure Timmy and Arnie will tell you that the coaches will tell them to focus their eye on the football when they're going out and they shoot. Basketball, doing the little catching the ball in 2 hands. God gave us 2 hands, so we always tell the kids the little things to use it. Tennis, Titus is going to probably not swing at the ball too often with his eyes closed. Now, he probably can hit the ball because he's got a feel for it. But again, that's sort of keeping your eye on what you're supposed to be doing. Track, when Dusty runs a 400, toughest race there is probably. How many breaths you take, Dusty? How many breaths you take in 400? It's never measured, probably only takes a couple. It's a gut race. It's a gut race. But he focuses on giving it everything he's got. That's where his eyes are. Yeah, that's the toughest race there is. I think more of it in terms of fixing your eyes on your short-term goals, your daily goals, your weekly goals, your monthly goals, and then your yearly goals. But the basic thing is, it all comes back to the number one priority that I think you guys have to set in your life, and that's your faith. Faith in yourself and faith in the people around you. But more importantly, in the supreme being that we all look up to. I came across a prayer. Here's a prayer that I think sort of typifies all of us. It goes something like this. Dear Lord, so far today I haven't gossiped, haven't lost my temper, haven't been greedy, grumpy, nasty, or selfish. I'm very thankful for that. But in a few minutes, God, I'm going to get out of bed. From then on, I'm probably going to need help. And we do. We all need help, and that help comes, guys, if anything that you got to believe is the faith that you have. So as you head to bigger and better things, try to take some of these time-tested values with you. Forget about the points, the rebounds, the assists, the playing time, etc. They're all inconsequential. There's coaches here, and you wonder why we coach. Why do we coach? Sort of a glutton for punishment. I'm going right into softball tomorrow. As soon as I finish softball, then I'm going to take the VFW baseball coaching job. Baseball is my first love, even more so than basketball. But there is a reason we coach. Some of you old timers, maybe some of you young guys that are into sports trivia. Amos Alonzo Stagg once said, this famous football coach, you must love your boys to get the most out of them and do the most for them. I've worked with boys whom I haven't admired, but I've loved them just the same. Thanks, guys, and best of luck, because we truly will miss you. We truly do have a special spot in our hearts for you, and best of luck in everything you do. Tim and Arnie, except against the Seward football, I'm not sure against your team, I'm sure for you. Thank you. We'll talk about the guys coming back here when we get to our other portion. Thanks, Greg.
Just looking at the roster and the guys over there, I have a son that's a senior this year. few times, and I was trying to think, how many seniors been at our house one time or another this year? I think most of them have, maybe a couple that haven't, but what a joy to see them interact away from the court. And then I started thinking, when I coached World League with Mr. Retzlaff here at Pony League, we actually got to coach some of these kids, and actually got to coach against some of these kids, which wasn't always the most fun because they're too good. You couldn't beat them. But we had some tremendous athletes and tremendous experiences even at that age as they grew, and you watched them develop, and then to see them come together as varsity players over the last couple of years, not only in basketball, but in all the other sports they're involved in. It's always, I think, really exciting when you have an opportunity to see these kids come through the youth programs and younger levels and see where they wind up. You guys have taken your God-given ability and done the most with it. It's just been fun to see that happen, but also to get to know you a little bit off the court. And as Coach Schuler has said, see the type of young man you have grown into. So it's going to be a real special memory when I think back to the class of 2000, the character that you guys possess. And it's time to hand out the awards tonight, too. So we'll get the senior remarks up here. First of all, that's going to take a while because we have a lot of seniors, right? And I know they're all very pocketed. I'll have to put the mic away from each one of them, I'm sure. Justin might be going away.
I think all of you guys can comment on that order. I think we all should say something.
Formal line.
No, wait, order. Let's go.
before I ran my sophomore year. I'd like to thank Kelsey for all the long knots for both of our troubles in high school love lives. Sweatbands. And now I'll thank the parents. We appreciate everything they've done for so many years and all the sacrifices and time they put in. And I like to thank the players, probably most of all, for everything we went through. Thanks for everything.
I'd like to thank my parents, first of all, and my players, because it's something you'll never forget. Statisticians for all the work they did, the cheerleaders, and anything else, and you did a lot, and nobody really noticed it, but I loved it a lot. And for all the food here tonight, that was really good.
Thanks, guys, for your quality. And now the awards presentation. We'll call Mr. Schubert back to the microphone.
First of all, we have 3 special awards. There's about, I don't know, 500, 600, 700 hotels in the cities. My wife and I went with some old friends to the state tournament. The only place we see we could get into was the Doubletree on 394 and 100. So we found out the boys, that's where they're going to stay too. Because if they haven't had enough, they got to be the same hotel in the cities. So we're getting on the elevator, get there on Thursday morning, look out the elevator before the door closed, and here was this maroon gold bag. It sure looked like an Otter bag. I didn't know which of the players hadn't turned that in yet. If you parents do run across things should be with school district 544 instead of Monumental, we'd like those back. But anyway, so we go up, find out what room we're in, 1216, and all of a sudden, here comes the boys. They're 2 doors down from us. They can't escape us. So, when I referred to the small town big mentality, I need to have these 2 guys come up here, Jacob Dremel and Tim Erickson. 5 after 12 on Thursday. Well, they got NCAA swimming there, they got hockey, NCAA hockey. University of Minnesota students are in session. Get up here. They're in session. So at 5 after 12, my wife and I go around the corner towards the parking lot. And about 20 to 1, quarter to 1, we moved up about 5 car lengths. That's all we moved up. Okay, and my wife said, gee, I wonder where the boys are. All of a sudden, here they come, just waving as they're going by. They didn't know a secret place to park, I guess. And, so my wife and I, at quarter after 1, the game has started. We're a quarter into the game. We're a quarter into the game. We finally get to the lot. The guy comes up with a map and says, here, take this to the university or the fairgrounds, and then they'll shuttle you to the game. And the boys will tell you, I sometimes don't have a whole lot of patience. And so my wife and I, we just decided to leave and eat. Knowing the way I usually do things, what happened to these boys probably would have happened to me. But they had a problem. They were going to have Chinese food, I guess, and ended up parking in a lot for too long a period of time. And the towers, the cities, decided to take their cars away. And, I don't know how long it was. It was a simple $165 per car lesson. Not taking credit cards. So I've got a special lifetime pass here for Jacob and Tim. If they're going to go to the cities, they can park anywhere they all darn want. motel, for us, for me anyway, it seemed to be quite big, $109 for the first night and $89 for the last two. It seems that one of our players thought that since the price of the motel was so steep, that there should be free continental breakfast. Well, as he and three of his teammates proceeded to go through this breakfast thing and eat as much as they possibly could, I'm sure, suddenly appeared to waitress with the, how much was it, Charlie? $33. So, you know, we all learned lessons. We all learned lessons. I understand that Coach Bjorkman also had his car code that day, so obviously it isn't just restricted to young people. But it seemed that Charlie Schoenhardt was the leader of the continental breakfast brigade. I'll tell you a little bit. This isn't a breakfast thing, Charlie, but you could use this. With what's in here, you would be able to take all of your teammates out and treat them. Okay, come on. Now I'll get to the regular awards here. Keith will help me out. We'll hand out our participation and letters that we'll be giving out to our varsity team. Andy Larson, Lou Braxton. When you come up here, guys, I want you to stand up here and tell what he's done. Do that, please. Charlie Schoenhardt. Andy Nelson. Justin Retzlaff. I know, Joanne, you called Timothy, just when you're mad at him, or just? Yeah, Timothy Paul. I've never called Timothy before, I guess I just call him Tim, and so Timothy Erickson. Dusty Cassette. Jacob Brevlo. Titus Christensen. And Titus can truly tell you the meaning of, it's cold out today. When Titus sprained his ankle against Moorhead, I've had kids in the past that have done, he was grounded for that week, and I grounded him at home with his mom and dad. And all he did was ice and ice and ice and ice. And nobody tried harder to get back from an injury than what Titus did. And if you ever want to try something that causes you cramps and pain, just I brought over coolers of ice for him to put it in as cold of water as he could. And this cramp should put up. Titus just loved every minute of it. The only time I've ever heard him swear at me was Rusty Arneson under his breath. I don't know if I don't think I ever heard you guys swear, did I? Dusty, maybe they said that. I'll tell you, that's another need. We really work on that. And the kids, I've told them a number of times I could be one of the biggest potty mouths around, but I really worked on that part of how I do things. And these guys are a great group that have been around because they didn't use that type of language either. It's just fantastic. Travis Kroll. Nick Piggott. Matt Haas. Matt Johnson. Nate Klein. Andy. Ryan Henderson. I can tell you for the person, the senior, big man, hated going against him because he's such a beast. He always tried. His main goal in big man drills every night was to make those seniors better. And Adam did that too. A lot of stuff. And our three statisticians instead of two are here: Kelly Moon and Jess Gillespie. We have their birds. loose and did a fantastic job. Ladies and gentlemen, the varsity Otter team for 1999-2000. We'll hand out the, sort of always have had a feeling about individual awards. We stress teams so much, and everybody has their different roles and things that we offer. And I probably don't, we don't give awards for everything, most assists, most steals, most turnovers, whatever. So I never know really what to have for awards, so that you take away from the team and give it to the individual. I know it's a sort of respected thing that we do that, but I do have mixed feelings about that. The people that earned these awards were voted on by their teammates, and so I think that has some real special meaning to it. We always try to tell the kids, don't vote for your best friend, and unless that best friend deserves. Take the whole meaning of what the award is. 52 practices. Still my favorite part. Games are secondary to me to what we do in our 8-hour class. Our 8-hour class is practice, basketball practice, and we think we prep for that. And the practice plan that we at school typed it out for the other coaches, usually about 20 to 7, so we make sure they knew what they'd be teaching that day. And we come to practice every night. Some days you don't feel like it. You don't feel like coming. Maybe you got a crappy day in the classroom. Things haven't gone well. We all have that. We don't like to go to work some days. Okay? We just as soon stay home. We just as soon go and do something else after school. And that's what separates the people that you see here compared to the general student population. They commit many, many hours, and many times without any fanfare. This first award goes to a person who got really no fanfare other than from, I think, the feeling that he had inside him, and how I felt about him through the year. And our best practice player award goes to one of our seniors who came night in and night out. Really wasn't going to get to play much. And as a matter of fact, we played very little. And that's somebody who came and just worked his butt off. And really, truly, I think understood the true meaning of to be part of the team. We talked about the inconsequential things, assists, turnovers, stats, points, playing time. This person decided that he loved being with the guys, and he do his role no matter what it took. And that goes to Jacob Retzlaff. In a few minutes, we have a special guest coming, and he only has a few minutes. And when he does get here, we'll turn the floor over to him, and have him take over, and then we'll finish up. Our second award is voted on by his teammates. It goes to the most improved player. That's got a lot of different meanings. I think of this individual, the most improved part of this individual boiled down to a 2-hour session that we had on a Saturday afternoon in January. He and I were in the gym all by ourselves. And by the time I got done, I was hurting because I passed him, I think, about 500 basketballs that afternoon. He was sort of struggling. And so I asked him if he wanted to come in. And he came in, and I just passed and passed and passed, and he shot and he shot and he shot. Nobody loves the game more than this individual. It's been very difficult for him. When you leave the place that you've been and grown up in, and grown up with entirely different group of people, and then as a junior, you come into our community, or you come into any community, and go into a whole new scenario, that's very difficult. Some of us have gone through that before. And I'm so impressed with the way that Lars handled all of the things that were thrown at him. Now, he also had a great opportunity in the fact that he came in, and I don't know, each of these guys would have to tell you straight out, anytime you have somebody move in, there could be some resentment too. I never sensed that. And somebody who worked so hard, I think that the biggest thing that you know the chair somebody who gave of himself to try to get him. Larson lost about 30-some pounds from the time his senior year or his junior year ended until the time we started. And that came through a lot of hard work, a lot of running. He did a lot of running with his dad. And I'll tell you, Lars, that's probably the best thing of the whole deal, was all the time you got to spend with your father during that time. And I think you know that, and I know that your dad appreciates that. I'm about 73 years old. He tried to tell me that he really appreciated the way the kids played, but he had some suggestions for us. As I was buying the Limburger cheese, I tried to listen intently. But Bill Johnson told me about this individual here, and how this is Bill's favorite player right here. Because this guy, I guess, I wasn't around when this kid was coming out through the Banquet program, so I can only visualize, what had taken place. And I guess as he was coming up, there came a time when they had to make a decision whether this gentleman was going to play A or B squad in the backcourt set. And they felt that it'd be best suited for him and for everybody around that he play B squad and get some time to at that level. And I know this individual well enough to know that he probably didn't like it a bit. When he thanked Joanne for all he had to know, there's a reason for that probably. We saw him on the floor so many times, it's unbelievable. The times he came back and getting his butt run over in the lane there by opposing players. And always, I just love him when Adam Heathcote from Sartell, one of the first times down the floor, gives him this shot. So now somebody right away is in his face and doing it and taking away things. We don't like to do things that don't come naturally. We like doing the things we do well. And this guy, game in and game out, took it away. Came to practice. I only had to have one talk. I whispered in his ear in January, didn't I, Dusty? And only Dusty can tell you what I said to him. It was nothing derogatory. When we talked about what his role was in our team, didn't happen. That was it. That was the only word I had to say. You can have as many players as you want, but you need the Dusty Cossettes of the world. And Dusty was voted our best defensive player and our Hustle Award winners last year. Best team spirit. I'm starting to get a little bit emotional here because it's starting to get towards the end. Some of you are sitting there. Dave had enough to sit in that seat. That's a big sore. And again, I'm trying to save a little bit of time here for our general guest is here. Best team spirit. What a sense of humor. He beat me off sometimes in practice because I always felt that it's how you practice and how you play. But he had a better perspective on it than I did, I think. And he'd come out, and especially as a junior, he and David Gould would sit in one end and sort of dig around, throw up crap. And so I always had a tough time with that, and tell him, we got to get a little more serious, guys. And a little more serious, and of course, he'd do it for about 10 minutes, and then he'd revert back to doing those things. But I think we saw this year a little difference in maturity. That's what it's all about. You're growing up. We're dealing with one of my best friends. He's making about $100,000 a year now. He's a coach too. He quit in 1978. Some of you might have heard this story. He quit because he got sick and tired of having 16, 17, and 18-year-olds dictate how he felt on a weekend. And granted, we kicked their butt all the time, so you can see why you feel badly. But, this guy right here, the best team spirit guy, Tim Erickson, sort of, I think, epitomized what this team is all about. That they compete hard, but yet they have fun. And nobody has more fun than Tim. Right? So, I love his demeanor, and just like everybody else, we'll miss that spirit. And now sophomores and juniors, who will pick up the slack and be the next Tim Erickson. Very prestigious honor. And the two recipients this year of the Otter Award, as voted by their teammates, are Titus Christensen and Tim Erickson. That concludes the awards part of our ceremony. And again, a big thank you to everyone. Just one of the things that is usually done at this banquet is to name the 2000-2001 captains. I know we don't have all of the forms in yet, so we're going to have to hold out on that. And we didn't have our meeting in quick enough time to get that done. Underclassmen. 2001. You've heard of the film 2001: Space Odyssey. But we're going to call it 2001 an Otter Odyssey. We'll change the name. If you look up Odyssey in the dictionary, it means a quest or a journey. The journey is done for the class of 2000 as far as their basketball careers at Fergus High School goes. It is a sad time, but it is a happy time. Because now it's time for them to move on to bigger and better things, and allow some of the young people, just like they did a few years ago. We return one letter next year. You'd have to ask the basketball historians of Fergus Falls if Fergus Falls has ever returned only one letterman or less to a team. Our standards are high when it comes to lettering. We don't just throw a letter out to anybody. That is something that is truly earned, not only in the practice floor, but also in the game situation. So Luke Braxton is our only returning letterman. Rebuilding here next year, that's a bunch of crap. That's all I've heard from some people. We've lost all these good seniors, now it's going to be rebuilt. And I truly believe, in my heart, just like I told these guys all year, that we were the best team in the section, that rebuilding here next year is a bunch of crap. 95% of our scoring and rebounding is gone. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We lose all 5 starters. Doesn't matter. We'll prove the skeptics wrong. Lots of spots open. You've heard that already. Underclass parents. Yeah, in my heart, I have visualized a little bit who, if we were to start tomorrow, who those people would be. I hope that there are some surprises, because if there are some surprises, that means some people who have gone out and got the job done in the off-season. Each underclassman has started the Odyssey already, I believe. At least I hope they have. The Sunday after we got back from St. Cloud, I know one of our kids was out in the driveway for an extended period of time. That's where basketball players are made, is in the driveway. Basketball players are not made at the YMCA going 5-on-5. They're not made in our gym, an open gym, going 5-on-5. You never get to touch the ball. The most important part of what you guys do with Cody is to play 1-0 in your driveway. All by yourself, going left, going right, having a dream, having a mission in mind, having a vision of what you want to accomplish. That's the most important part of their physical activity that they need to be doing now. You parents, you don't have to tell them to get out. This is something that's got to come from within. Okay? They need to have that inner drive, that inner tenacity to go out. You have a beautiful day today to be out shooting in the driveway with your gloves on, with a stocking cap on your ears no matter how cold it is, instead of wimping out and going inside and shooting. That's what great players are made. Get in the weight room. Get in the weight room. Every guy that we saw, these guys were tested that when they get up to the line, you watch those guys at the state tournament, the veins are just popping out of their arms. These guys are in the weight room. Coach Lake is here, he wants his kids in the weight room. We want our kids in the weight room. I'll just tell you a little story about John Carlson Jr., 6'5", freshman for Litchfield. He looks like a man-child out there, fantastic player. They say his best sport is football. He's a tight end. They scrimmaged with Powell this year, 2-hour scrimmage, drove back from St. Cloud to Litchfield. John Carlson Sr., the coach's dad, had a church meeting, had to go to church, comes home at 9:15. John Jr. isn't there. Hasn't come home. Where is he? Didn't know where he was. Well, 9:45, they're still wondering, where is he? Came home, came in the door, where you been, John? You've been in the weight room the entire time since they've gotten back. I suppose that's a sort of a perk, isn't it, to be the coach's son, get the keys, have a set of the keys, and get into the weight room. He felt he had played poorly against Apollo. Some of you guys saw Apollo, they were unbelievable physical. Here's a 6'5" freshman who decided that he needed to get the weight room and get stronger. We're not going to play next year in the section tournament. I don't know if you knew that. We're not going to play in the section tournament. We're going to compete for a section championship. We're not going just to play. We're going to compete for a section championship. It sort of eluded us. And as David Newell said in an email to me 2 days before we played Alexandria, he said, I'm a little bit jealous and envious because he says, I think you're going to win that game and get something that I never got. So guys, there is a difference between playing and competing. It's not just enough to play. You have to compete. Timmy loves this line. He got on me last week of practice. I told Retzy a number of times I didn't think Retzy would use his hips and his butt, get up on his jump shot and leave it short of the rim. And I'd say, Retz, you can't just shoot. You got to shoot to score. You got to shoot to score. There's a difference by knowing what you have to do. So we have a water break, and I'm out there one of the few times and any times that I shot the ball ever. I shot it up and I missed by 4 feet. Timmy, don't shoot to score. Do as I say, not as I do. And you have to have a vision. We talked about vision before. We talked about having a focus in your eyes. You have to have your eyes fixed on your goals. You guys written down your goals yet? We talked about that. You need to have your goals written down. You have to have a reminder. It doesn't have just to do with basketball. It has to do with how you're going to run your everyday life. And he can tell you that when every time you leave the classroom, Spanish, when I had him last semester, one of the things I'd always tell the kids is what? You have to say something nice to somebody. Okay? Set that as a goal in your life. That'll help with all the other things you do. Don't just show up in next November, you guys. Don't just show up next November and expect it's magically going to get done. Remember the PPPPP that we have in our locker room, because that's how you go about getting there. You have to have a burning desire inside. You have to have passion. You have to have passion for what you do. Make your weaknesses into strengths. Get out for a spring sport. Nick Pickett's going out for tennis for the first time this year. I love it. I hope that you hit the ball. Titus teacher with a few overheads, okay? So you Nick can do that. Get out for track. I don't care if you ever win a medal. Get yourself stronger. Fall sport. We really push 3 sports. We push guys to get it. We want them in football, soccer, cross country. Those are the things that make you a better competitor. You get different philosophies from different coaches. That's important. Learn to compete not only against other people in other towns, but your own teammates. That's how you get better. That's what makes us all better. An old-time philosopher once said, those who work the hardest, who subject themselves to the strictest discipline, give up certain pleasures in order to achieve a goal, are the happiest people in society. And I really truly believe that. Be stewards of the game. Now some of you don't even have a clue what the word stewards of the game mean. The more I'm in it, the longer I stay in it, this spring will get an idea of what it means to be a steward of the game. It has to practice the little things. Practice the boring things. Practice the fundamentals. Forget the blitz. Forget the blitz. My favorite game, Craig asked me, my favorite game in the state tournament. It was the 42-28 Litchfield win over WEM. I mean, you had to be so goddamn tough to even get a shot, right, guys? I mean, it was a war. That was my favorite game. It wasn't the 79-76 with 17 dunks. That's not my favorite. Forget the style. Forget the junk. Practice the boring things. Forget the finger rolls. Forget the dunks. Do the dirty things well. The things nobody else likes to do. The Dusty Cassette things. I think I still owe about a case of pop. How many do I owe you, Dusty? Dusty? So, yeah. We would give away pops for charges. And he was also my runner. He'd go get the pop because I didn't have time during the day. So, he was a senior and when he had 3 classes this year or whatever he had. Dusty got some time and I got a lot of time. He's never in the stats. He did all the dirty work. But he never showed up at the box score. Now, what'd you average, Gus? 3 points a game, 4 points a game? I don't know. But in my heart, the way of doing things, he was one of the big reasons we work. So that's what you guys have to do. Forget the glitzy crap. Okay? Get some substance in your life, both on the floor and off the floor, instead of all the style we see every day around us. That's the thing championship teams are made of. I didn't see too many glitzy stuff from Southwest Christian or from Litchfield. Did see some from Patrick Henry. It's a whole different story. We'll talk about that at another time. Perseverance. I think again, perseverance is a dogged determination in running a race that will not be denied. You cannot be outworked this off-season, guys. Your opponents may be more gifted and luckier, but they can't outwork you. Sun Shen, is that how you pronounce that, Greg? He's a Chinese philosopher. These guys have had so much of this and this. God, coach, you must run out. I got a ton. I got about this much left for next year and the year after. Victory is achieved before. Victory is achieved before, not just during the battle. And that goes back to that prior preparation. You guys, get your lunch buckets out. Get your lunch buckets out. Get your blue collar work approach out. Get it done in the off season. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the most important intangible in your March through November preparation. And that's your character. I have 2 quotes to finish up. Be more concerned with your character than your reputation. Because your character is what you really are. Your reputation is merely what others think you are. And the last one, fame. Fame is a vapor. Poof, it's gone. Popularity is an accident. Sometimes it just happens. We don't have any clue why it does. Money takes wing. If you take the money, well, it's gone. And those who cheer you today may curse you tomorrow. The only thing that endures through everything that you do is your character. Best of luck, you guys, in your off-season endeavors. Best of luck to our seniors. We'll be watching you. Come back with our email address. Email us. We really appreciate getting those. And thanks again for being patient. started working for is a gentleman by the name of Louis Deere. He's coached for 37 years in Kennedy, Minnesota. It's a town about about 30 miles from the Canadian border. That's where I started my career in 1970. I learned how to throw keys through soap boxes. That's all Matt he did. I learned all of my bad habits, I think, from him as far as getting on referees. He told me a story on Saturday at the state tournament. His daughter, his son-in-law, is a tremendous surgeon at, I think it's Americare in Fargo. His daughter, Louis Deere's daughter, is a nurse in the emergency room. She got called to work. She went to work one day during the basketball season, and the other nurse in there that didn't know each other got talking a little bit. And she said, well, I'm the mother of one of the Moorhead basketball players. And Mary Beth, the daughter, said, oh, Chuck Holzbeek is the coach, right? And she said, yeah, we have a real wild coach, Chuck Holzbeek, a real wild man. She said, well, I used to go out with him. Matter of fact, he started his career. After I left Kennedy, then Chuck Holzbeek came to Kennedy and worked under Louis Deere before he came to Moorhead. So they just chatted a little bit, came back a couple weeks later, they worked in the same shift in the emergency room, and this mother from Moorhead said, well, we got a heck of a game with Fergus Falls last night. She said, I thought that our coach Chuck Holzbeek was a wild man. You should see that guy from Fergus Falls. And Mary Beth says, well, you must be talking about Gary Schuler. She looked, yeah, he used to work with my dad, too. And the other nurse finally said, what was your dad? What is your dad? So, I haven't, there's many times I wanted to grab the referee right by the jugular. Because I think the orchestrate games, I think they take it away from the kids many times, and I get really peed off, and I have to control myself. And I just love to take them apart, but I think that's one of the teaching things we try to have with the kids is that they're trying to do their job, and even though sometimes it doesn't go our favor, that we have to just forget about it. So, if you guys are going to work next year, I really appreciate that. And, I'll tell when John Clinton comes to our place next year, I'm going to have you come in instead. Thank you.
What they will remember is the way we hustled, the boys we had under pressure, the class we showed, and the fun we had together. We will never fully pay back those who have helped us. What we can do is follow their example and help others get started. Take our knowledge, experience, and enthusiasm and share it with others. Teach them everything we were taught about winning. Teach them about class. Teach them how to overcome adversity. Thanks for the memory.